With the New York Rangers' former second overall pick, Kappo Kakko, returning to the lineup at some point in the near future after missing a very long time due to an injury, where will he fit in this lineup, as well as could we potentially see Kappo moved at this year's NHL trade deadline for a piece that would make this team a whole lot better and could make this team a serious threat to win a Stanley Cup? We're going to take a look at that and more in this video. Starting off here, though, taking a look at what the Lions could potentially look like with Kappo returning to this team. I think we definitely should and probably will potentially see him get a shot on that top line there alongside Mika and Kreider. I think that could be a pretty good line there. I mean, having him come back, we don't exactly know what kind of version of Kappo we're going to be getting. Is it the one that we saw at the start of this year where, yes, the offense wasn't there, but the defensive game we know can be good? I mean, the start of this season, you had 20 games played, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points. That's not very good at all. But we know he can still be a great two-way guy, and he's going to play good in his own zone, going to really help. Just kind of be a solid two-way forward for this team, because we know we have some guys out there who can definitely be liabilities defensively on the forward side of things. A guy like Blake Wheeler definitely comes to mind in that sense. So bringing in a guy like Kakko could really help out the overall defensive game for the Rangers, but the offense obviously isn't the best with Kakko unless we're getting last year's version of him where he had 40 points in 82 games played, 18 goals, 22 assists. I thought last year he really did play a great overall game. I mean, both ways, defensively and offensively, last year looked great. This year so far, in that limited sample size, only 20 games played to start this season, he didn't play great offensively, but he did have that two-way game playing really good defensively. So what version are we getting? Hopefully it is obviously last year's version where we're seeing some good offense and some great defense. And taking a look here at what the Lions could potentially look like once Kakko does return, I think there's kind of only 2 spots we could really see him in. Either that top line right wing spot alongside Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider, which I think is probably what we should see him in. Give him a shot there on that top line over a guy like Blake Wheeler, who's obviously much older, more than likely is not going to be a part of the future going forward after this year. And I think, Blake Wheeler, let's be honest here, he has been quite disappointing so far. I thought personally we would see a lot more offense out of him than what we've seen so far, and he's taken a much bigger step back in his overall game than I initially thought. So that's unfortunate there. I mean, he obviously signed for a very cheap deal, $800K with $300K in bonuses. So yeah, that's pretty cheap, but obviously we'd still like to see a bit more out of him than what we've seen. And with Blake Wheeler being that kind of liability defensively that we've seen this year, I do think it makes a lot of sense to knock him down to that third line there, give him bottom 6 minutes, and have a guy like Kappo Kakko, who's obviously a young player who we still hope can be a great top 6 forward at the NHL level. And then obviously have a guy like Lafreniere on that second line, or 1B, 1A, whatever you want to call these lines. Let's be honest here, that Panarin and Trocheck and Lafreniere line has really been the best so far this year for this team. So either way, I think having Kappo Kakko and Lafreniere as your top 2 right wingers makes a lot of sense. I mean, you're 2 young guys you drafted first and second overall. Give them top 6 minutes, and let's hope that we can see a big jump in Kakko's game that we saw from Lafreniere this year, which I definitely think is still possible. Now, is Kappo going to be that 60-point kind of guy, 70, 80-point kind of guy that we originally thought he could be with the Rangers once he was drafted? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think we're going to see that point per game kind of version out of Kakko, but could we see a 40 to 50 to 60 kind of point player? I definitely think it is still possible. I'm not saying we're going to see him hit 60 points every year, but he can definitely be around a 50-point kind of guy. I think that's somewhat realistic going forward in the future for a guy like Kakko. So hopefully we do see him get his shot there on that top line alongside Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider. But taking a look at the other possible option I think we could see for Kakko, if they don't want to have him there on that top line and they want to try him out on that third line there potentially. I mean, you're not going to touch that second line or the 1B line, whatever you want to call it, with Panarin, Trocheck, and obviously Lafreniere. Could we see a third line potentially of a guy like Jimmy Vesey, Barclay Goodrow, and Kappo Kakko? I think that's a possibility. Maybe it's Brodzinski, being on that line somewhere there as well. Maybe it's Nick Foligno again. Maybe they give him a shot there on that third line once again. I mean, I'm not quite sure what they'd want to do there. That bottom 6 is a cluster right now. There are so many guys. It's constantly changing around, especially once Kakko comes back. Things are going to move around a whole lot more. So that third line of bottom 6 will change and probably will consistently be changing throughout the entire season. So it's not really any line set in stone, but hopefully we can see Kakko kind of solidify himself there in that top 6 on that right wing spot, or hopefully it's obviously Will Cooley, because I don't really think we should be seeing Blake Wheeler in the top 6, especially come playoff time. I think that'd be a big mistake for this team. And the last thing we're going to take a look at here is the potential of the New York Rangers trading away Kappo Kakko at this year's NHL trade deadline. Now, I'm not necessarily saying I want it to happen or I think it should happen. I just think it should be a possibility. I mean, it should be an option for the Rangers to go out there, and if they can acquire a star level talent to make this team a whole lot better, really put this team over the top, I think they should pull the trigger if it's the right move. I'm not saying you should be trading away for some random rental guy who's going to be a decent middle six forward. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying if you can get a star level player, and I do think a big factor whether or not Chris Drury in the front office would even consider trading him away is how he does once he returns. You know, if he comes back and he's on that top line there and he ends up having a monster run in like 10 games played, he's got like 13 points, he's playing a great two-way game, really good defensively, then there's obviously no chance for taking him away. But maybe he has a mediocre kind of return here to the lineup, ends up getting put down on that third line. Maybe the Rangers do end up looking to trade him away for a guy like Elias Lindholm. Now, I'm not saying I want to see this team trade away a first-round pick, Brennan Othmann, and Kappo Kakko, but if it's obviously Kakko being that main piece in the deal, I think I'd be okay with trading him away for a guy like Elias Lindholm, who could obviously make this team a whole lot better, who's got some playoff experience, can play with a bit of an edge to him. He's not a soft guy by any means, and can provide a really good two-way game, being a center or a winger. I think that could be a pretty solid move for this team. Anyways, though, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please smash the like button. Don't forget to comment down below your guys' thoughts on this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one, and bye.